Hey everyone, and welcome. The animal world, it is just packed with surprises. So today, we're going to open up a kind of cabinet of curiosities and pull out some of the most mind-blowing, weird, and wonderful facts that nature's got hiding. Ready? Let's get into it.
So let me start with a question for you. What in the world do a mathematician, pigeon, a butt-breathing turtle, and a penguin proposing with a rock all have in common? I know, it sounds like the beginning of a really weird joke, right? But I promise you, every single one of those is real, and we're about to figure out how.
All right, first up, let's crack open the first drawer in our cabinet. This one's all about incredible senses and hidden talents. This is where we get into the real superpowers, the ways animals see, hear, and feel the world that we can barely even wrap our heads around.
Yep, you heard that right. The humble pigeon you see in the city park, secretly a math whiz. Seriously, studies have shown they can actually grasp basic numerical concepts. They can even be taught to count. So next time you see one pecking around, just remember, there's a lot more going on in that little bird brain than you'd ever guess.
Think about it. How do you see in total darkness? The answer is, you don't. But bats, they've got it figured out. And it's not with their eyes. They use something called echolocation. They send out these super high-frequency sounds and then listen. They build a complete mental map from the echoes that bounce back. It's basically a built-in sonar system that lets them hunt with pinpoint accuracy when it's pitch black. And this is where things get, well, kinda sci-fi. Sharks have what you can honestly call a sixth sense. They can actually detect the tiny, faint electrical fields that all living things give off just by moving their muscles. It's this whole invisible world of information that we can't sense at all, and it's what makes them such unbelievably effective hunters.
But these incredible senses aren't just for finding prey. Sometimes they're for sharing information. Take the honeybee, for example. When a bee finds an amazing patch of flowers, it doesn't just keep that info to itself. No way. It flies back to the hive and performs this thing called the waggle dance. And get this, the angle of the dance shows the direction to the food, using the sun as a reference point. And the longer the bee waggles, the farther away the food is. It's literally a living, dancing GPS.
Okay, so talent isn't always about these complex senses. Sometimes it's just about pure, raw, unbelievable strength. I want you to think about this number, 1,141. What is that? Well, that's how many times its own body weight a tiny dung beetle can pull.
To try and even imagine that, that's like an average person pulling six double-decker buses, all on their own. That makes them, pound for pound, the strongest animal on the entire planet. It really goes to show you should never, ever underestimate the little guy.
All right, let's close up that drawer on talents and open up the next one. This one is called Weird But Wonderful Bodies. And trust me, this is where things get, well, pretty strange and absolutely brilliant.
You ready for a little biology pop quiz? Here we go, rapid fire. An octopus, it has 3 hearts. A shark, 0 bones. Its whole skeleton is cartilage. A leech, it has 32 brains. And a caterpillar has 12 eyes. I mean, every single one of those is just a wild piece of evolutionary engineering.
And yep, you guessed it, we're back to the butt-breathing turtle. I told you it was real. It's a genuine adaptation. They can absorb oxygen from the water through special blood vessels back there, which lets them stay underwater for a ridiculously long time, especially when they're hibernating. It's just a perfect example of nature going, hey, whatever works.
Sometimes the animals we think we know best are the ones hiding the biggest secrets. For instance, a rhino's horn. It's not bone at all. It's made of keratin, the exact same stuff as your hair and fingernails. And a giraffe's super long tongue, it's purplish black to act as a natural sunscreen so it doesn't get sunburned. Oh, and under all that beautiful white fur, a polar bear's skin is actually jet black. Why? To soak up as much heat from the sun as possible.
So, it's not just about their amazing bodies, right? It's also about how they live together, the complex and sometimes really touching ways they interact. So let's open up that next drawer, clever behaviors and social lives.
And this brings us back to our proposing penguin. In some penguin species, when a male wants to find a partner, he goes on a quest. He searches for the perfect, smoothest, most beautiful pebble he can find. And then, he presents it to the female he's interested in. If she accepts it, well, they're a couple. It's amazing how a simple little stone can be such a powerful symbol.
And that social stuff, it just gets better. You've got sea otters that literally hold hands while they sleep so they don't drift apart. How cute is that?
And cows, they actually form really strong friendships and have best friends. They get super stressed out if they're separated. And then you have dolphins, who have unique whistles for each other. They're basically calling each other by name.
Speaking of animals getting together, you know the names we have for groups of animals can be really, really weird. And a lot of the time, the name kind of fits the animal's personality.
So you've probably heard of a murder of crows, right? Or a parliament of owls, which sounds so wise. But did you know you can have a crash of rhinos? Or a flamboyance of flamingos? I mean, is there a more perfect name? A couple of my personal favorites, though. A business of ferrets and an embarrassment of pandas.
And for one last little social twist, let's talk about the seahorse. In their world, everything's flipped. It's the dad who gets pregnant. He carries the eggs in a special pouch and then gives birth to hundreds of tiny little seahorses. It's a complete role reversal and just one of the most unique parenting strategies out there.
Okay, time for our last drawer. And this one is all about the record breakers. We're talking superlatives here. The fastest, the longest living, the biggest. These are the undisputed champions of the animal world.
Let's start with lifespan. The differences here are just staggering. On one end of the scale, you have the mayfly. Its entire adult life can be over in just 24 hours. 1 day. Now, go to the complete other extreme, the Greenland shark. These guys can live for more than 400 years. 400? That makes them the longest living vertebrate on the planet, by far.
All right, what about speed? On land, nobody touches the cheetah, clocking in at 70 miles per hour. But get this, in the water, the sailfish can match that, also hitting 70. But the king of speed? That's the peregrine falcon. When it dives, it can reach speeds over 200 miles per hour. Just incredible. It's the fastest animal on Earth, period.
And finally, let's talk about the heavyweight champion of all time. 200 tons. That's the weight of a blue whale. It's not just the biggest animal alive today. It's the largest animal to have ever lived on this planet. Yep, even bigger than the biggest dinosaurs.
So you go from a tiny little beetle to a 200-ton whale, and you just see how life finds these incredible, astonishing ways to adapt. And honestly, we've barely even scratched the surface today. We've just peeked into the cabinet. Which kind of makes you wonder, right? If this is all the crazy, amazing stuff we already know about, what other secrets is the animal kingdom still hiding from us?